Your weather guy here, back with another tropical update. We have 5 areas of really, I don't know if I'd call them concern, but 5 areas of interest. Couple noteworthy areas of interest that we'll get into that could cause some issues, especially around the Texas, Louisiana area. So we're going to touch on that. Also, some much below normal temperatures moving into the eastern part of the United States. We're going to talk about what's behind that. What to expect as we go further in the fall into the early part of winter. But first, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Help this channel to grow. I would greatly appreciate that. So let's get right into it. So the 3 areas of concern that we see over the Atlantic, not too concerned about them at this point, but those 2 areas of concern, the one in the western Atlantic and then in the northwestern Gulf Coast, or I'm sorry, the western Caribbean and the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. Those are the 2 areas that I want to talk about real quick. So the one in the Caribbean, that's the one that we've been watching since last week. It's now in the Western Caribbean, moving west-northwest. So let's go over the models here and talk about some possible scenarios. So what we'll do first is go over to the European ensembles, probably my favorite tool. And we'll put this at tomorrow. And then, so here's what we're seeing. So the European ensembles is basically the European model run at a lower resolution, about 50 times. And so these red numbers that you see here, those are different model members placing low pressure systems. So we have that area there, and then we have this area up here in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. So we put this forward. I want you to keep an eye on those areas. So as we go into the weekend, we see our tropical wave traverse over Mexico, and then many of the members have it surviving and getting out into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, so over open waters. What's very interesting is a lot of these members are showing that broad area of low pressure just off the coast of Texas, moving south at the same time. So if that area can move south, and our tropical wave hangs out long enough over the Gulf Coast, those 2 areas could come together. At least that's what some of the models are indicating. If that's the case, we could have some troubles. They're going to kind of join forces or almost absorb each other in a way. And as we go forward into next week, we can see that happening. Now, some of the members will just bring it into Mexico harmlessly. And then some of the members, a good portion of them actually, now bring that new formed area of low pressure north into the northern Gulf Coast. So specifically, Texas and Louisiana, I mean, really, if you're anywhere along the Gulf Coast, you still don't want to let your guard down, as a lot of these members are showing this possible solution. So I will show you one more model as far as this threat goes. And then this is the European AI. And I'll put this forward to today, and we see our area in the northwest Gulf of Mexico, as well as our tropical wave going into the Yucatan. And as we go into this weekend into early next week, we see just what the ensembles were hinting at. The 2 areas come together. So we have a low pressure system now deepening, moving northward, and then goes directly into Louisiana. This would be later next week. Now, this particular model, it's worth mentioning, has shown this solution probably about, I think this is like 8 runs in a row now. So again, a lot of the members a lot of models are still showing this thing, not really getting its act together or moving into Mexico, but this is still a possibility. I would probably put it around 30%. I think that's where I'm at right now. So certainly significant enough that you want to keep an eye on this if you have an interest along the Gulf Coast. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about the cooler weather. This is the European, so let's go to today. We have our below normal temperatures in the central part of the United States, in the deep south, up into the mid-Atlantic. And as we go forward, the below normal temperatures in the central part of the United States move eastward. And look at all those deep blues and purples. That is very cool temperatures for this time of year. So matter of fact, let's pull up those cool temperatures, the actual air temperature. So this is forecast lows. So this is Saturday night and Sunday morning. We see widespread 40s, low 40s. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some 30s pop up in somewhere in the Ohio Valley, Indiana maybe. And then we have 50s, even some low to mid 50s, pretty far south into Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. So this is a pretty significant early season cool shot. Now, enjoy. If you like the cooler weather, you're going to want to enjoy it while we have it, because as we go forward, we're going to see the warm temperatures, or I should say the above normal temperatures, start to gain control again. So as we go into next week, we'll see those below normal temperatures start to get eaten away at those above normal temperatures. As we head to late part of next week, we see much of the country back above normal, with just the deep south over to the mid-Atlantic trying to hang on to those below normal temperatures. As we go forward in time, even from that point, so this is now September 14th, we see much more of the same, right? We see the below normal temperatures trying to hang on as those warm temperatures really start to take over and take hold of the weather pattern. And as we go forward even further, this is now the 16th and 17th, just about the entire country at this point is going to be above normal, with the exception of, it looks like Florida here, and then maybe right along the coast out west. So again, if you like the below normal temperatures, enjoy this while it lasts. It is kind of short, going to be short-lived as the warmer temperatures come back in. So what to expect as we go forward here. So let's talk about the weather real quick. Not a whole lot to talk about, so I almost skipped right over that. Aside from our tropics and the threat that we have in the tropics, there's really not a whole lot going on. We'll put this forward. There's going to be an area of low pressure trying to form somewhere, maybe northern Florida, southeastern coast, and bring some unsettled weather on Saturday. We have that cold front moving through, bringing that cooler blast into the eastern part of the United States. And then once that moves through, by Sunday, high pressure takes over and much of the country is dry. And at this point, we turn all of our attention to the tropics, see what's going on with our system down there. Outside of that, this is now through all of next week. Really don't see much, maybe some showers and storms over the central part of the United States, but not a whole lot to talk about at this point. So all of our attention will be focused on the tropics and some potential threats right there. Now, let's go forward here. So this is the CFS now. So if we go forward, this is now going into the end of September, and just wanted to show the weather pattern is really doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's really settling into this above normal regime. This is taking us through September 26th, and then we go to the following week. So this is now going into early October. We see it's much the same. It's rinse and repeat, unfortunately. But as we look further out, for all you cold weather, cool weather fans, we do see some promising things. So I'm going to actually switch this over to the monthly view. And if we pull up November, the CFS has been really consistent now in showing some cooler temperatures moving into much of the northern part of the United States over the northeast. So that would be a pretty big pattern change going into November. So hang in there. We have probably, once this cool shot goes through, a warm end of September, probably an above normal October. I hate to say it. And then as we go into November, I think we start to see some changes. And one of the reasons I think we see those changes is the models are starting to pick up on this. Our La Nina is really coming on now. If you like the cooler weather, if you're in the east and you like the colder weather, you don't want this to get too strong, but a weak and maybe even like a lower moderate range of La Nina could be promising if you like the colder weather in the east. West Coast, I think the writing's on the wall. I think you're in for an above normal winter, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Still looking at some data. And then we'll take a look at one more climate model, and then this is November. So a little bit different here, but it is still showing those closer to normal temperatures in the East Coast, again, above normal temperatures in the West. But as we go into December, it really starts to pick up on that La Nina influence, and the north turns much colder, staying warm in the south and in the west. And then January is starting to look pretty cold on this model here. And it's kind of split, right? You have those much below normal temperatures up north, below or above to much above in the south, and right in between you have that battle zone. And that, as we go into the winter, it's going to be really important to see where that sets up, because that's probably going to be where we're going to have an active storm track. So please hit that subscribe button. We're going to have much more on the winter coming up. I did a winter forecast preview about 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, go take a look at it. Some good information in there. And as more data comes in, we're going to have updates to that winter forecast. Well, thanks for watching, and see you next time.